It is Monday. RawMikeRichards.com broadcasting live from 234 King Street East in downtown Toronto from our fabulous glassed-in studios, Pacific Junction Hotel. As these next weeks kind of get they get ramped up. We get a little busy here as we approach Labor Day, where we're going to have some pretty interesting announcements to make on the upcoming show. Coming up this morning, we've got the legend, and when I mean legend, if we're talking CFL, you're talking Chris Walby, and if you're talking Chris Walby, that is one big legend. You know, 6'7", 325, and as you know, sometimes in rosters, Dave, the bigger guys tend to want the number to be lower, and then the guys a little bit small. Like for instance, they list Pinball Clemens when he played at like 5'9". 5'10", something like that.
And he wasn't remotely close to that.
No.
I remember sitting beside Michael Clemens on the sideline, and I'm like, holy smokes, I think I got a full head on him.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
At least. Yeah.
And it's funny. It's, you know, but the guy was awesome. And you're right. Smaller guys get roster-sized. And it's like that in every sport.
Yeah.
We get that in hockey. We get that in especially football. I'm not sure so much about basketball. I'm sure it probably happens in basketball as well. But
because the pinner probably came in and he said, yes, David Bassel, let me just say that I've always been a fan of Winnipeg and what you do, and I understand that you married a Greek girl. Yeah. I like the Greek girls. I don't know about the men sometimes because I hear things about them when they were in the army and what used to happen at night. But that's okay, too, because the Lord loves us all. And the things that we do, Dave, Yes. I couldn't help it. I can't. And look, do I do that in front of him? You know I do that in front of him.
And I've seen it.
Yeah.
And he sits there and laughs at it, too.
That is very good. Yeah, that's very funny. Except the part about the Greek men at night. It's a little offside, but yes. I don't know how this, whatever. Okay, calm down, Mike. Calm down.
We got to get him in here, too.
Oh, he'll come in.
You know, honestly.
Even I'll say, look, Pinner, the show's called Raw Mike Richards.
So
it's in a bar.
We want to hear you swear.
Well, I think that's where we did the evil the evil pinball, and he comes out too. So we'll make sure we do that. What are we going to talk about? It's probably the talk of what the weekend was. Now, we said take the over 8.5 rounds. You double your money, like that. You know, where often or you know. Would you get advice, Dave, where someone's saying to you in the world of gaming, I'm going to tell you how to double your money with one bet? Like, that's solid advice. I don't know how many people did it. When I retweeted out, I saw there's a couple of people, including our good friend Bruce Tobigan. That's what he took.
Yep.
And Brewster, he likes gaming too. He's into it. He's actually pretty good at it. And so there it was, double your money. Some guys, the way they looked at it, quite honestly, was how long does Conor on average go in a UFC fight? And people said, well, it's about 25 minutes. Like, if you're going to go that long, it's 25 minutes ends up being like 8th, 9th round. And let's be honest, in that 8th round, that's where I started holding my breath and wondering, just make it through into the 9th and barely. Because after that, as you know, 7, 8, 9. Someone said, do you believe that the fight was stopped too early? No, it wasn't stopped too early because it only was going to get worse at that point. And here's Dave. Here's honestly, well, let me get your feeling on it.
Sure.
Yeah. What did you think of what you saw that night?
I loved it. I was very entertained. I was pleasantly surprised because I wasn't expecting it to be as competitive as it was. Shoddy reffing. I'm a skeptic a little bit about how everything was played out because I don't think Floyd was as aggressive as I thought he may have been, even though he's not that type of fighter. Mm-hmm. The one thing I'll disagree with is I don't think the fight should have been stopped when it should have been stopped. I think they should have let him slug it out or knock Conor out because Conor McGregor is the type of guy that probably would have wanted to be picked up from the canvas rather than be,
He for sure.
TKO'd.
Yes.
And I'm not basing this on the safety of the fight, or I'm not taking that into consideration. I'm taking this into consideration as the type of fighter he is.
From his perspective, you're saying. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. And I honestly think if the fight wasn't stopped where it was, and bettors are going to hate this would have went to the 11th round, because I think he would have hung on. It was getting close to the end of the 10th. I think he would have hung on, and maybe in the 9th or maybe in the 11th, things would have been, the actual knockout itself. But I liked it.
So did I.
I was, the most disappointing part about the night was the crappy undercard. What a garbage undercard.
Okay, our good friend Jerry Forbes out at CJ92 said there were better fights at the Trump rallies.
I totally agree with Jerry. No, seriously,
Yeah,
it was garbage, because it promised to be a nice build-up between the fights. The funniest part about the night too is, I don't know if you guys
the Corona girls, because
girls.
Yeah.
I'm big into women. I do.
Yeah,
I do
you're a girl guy.
Yeah, but but they were creepy.
Yeah,
they were. It's like everywhere they went, they kind of.
But you could tell. Mr. Corona said, "Now remember, every time the camera's on, okay, so follow Dave and I'll be Mr. Corona, because this is what happened. Follow Dave, you be the girls. Every time the camera moves, you have to make sure that you're in the camera. Okay, make sure. No, you're too far now. Oh no, here he comes. Now go back to me. No, there we go. Here, Corona. Oh, over here. Now they're. Oh boy, what's going on now? Boing.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Was it not a little?
Yeah.
I mean.
Well, because he told them, and they were like inching over every time. It was awesome.
It's so true.
There was one or two of them that were. They were.
Yeah.
They were all right. Yeah. I understand. Tail the tape.
Yes,
Tail the
sir.
tape. So age. Well, actually, almost every category is in favor of McGregor. So before people lose their minds on that, here's my take on the fight.
Fire away.
Aside from the gambling aspect, which we'll come into it. For Conor McGregor to do what he did, there was no way from day one, if you're a boxing purist, that you ever took this thing seriously as a boxing match. This was always going to be an exhibition. The question was, is Conor going to go into the fight and embarrass himself? Or is it going to be a strategic boxer who's one of the top 5 boxers of all time, maybe the best when it comes to defensive fighting in the actual sweet science of boxing? So Conor was never going to win this fight. But just what would a 40-year-old coming out of retirement look like to a 20-something-year-old who has the advantage in height, the advantage in wingspan, like everything else, in tipping in favor? And could you take away all the other disciplines that Conor McGregor uses in his normal profession, right? There's probably about 5 of them that he probably uses in a given fight. Can he withstand the distance, the cardio, and the ability to really lay one glove on Mayweather, and you knew it was going to come in those first 3 rounds? So the fight in some ways was kind of predictable. And so for the boxer as good as Floyd is, he saw the fatigue. He knew when the moment was. His people, in terms of strategy, did exactly what they were supposed to do. Let him get in and punch as much as he can in the first 3 rounds, because the wind will come out of the sails at some point, which is why, Dave, you and I picked 8.5 rounds. We barely made that. I mean, he barely got through that. But in terms of a competitor that they both are, especially McGregor, he, by doing this, lost nothing. UFC lost nothing. I think both UFC, Dave, and to me, and boxing, it was win-win for both. Because Canelo's fight's coming up, it won't even be a fraction of what this is in terms of eyeballs, in terms of revenue and income based on pay-per-view. There's a lot of people out there going, Canela, isn't that an oil?
Yeah.
No, that's canola.
Vegetable oil.
And it's more popular. So I take a look at it, and you're talking to 2 guys on this show who love boxing.
Yes.
Who miss when it was the relevant sport on a Saturday night. When's the last time you looked at a Saturday night and said, because historically, for those old enough to remember, Saturday night wasn't just hockey night in Canada. Saturday night was fight night, and they had fights on the radio. They had fights on TV. And before the advent of cable television, satellite, Fights were shown in closed-circuit television, what they used to call closed-circuit TV, in arenas. So here it was Maple Leaf Gardens. That's how you saw fights, but they would pack Maple Leaf Gardens and you would pay your money because it was fight night. So for me to go back, I'm cheering, got to be honest, was an Oilers person for Connor, but I'm also cheering for the 8.5 rounds and to go over. I tweeted out some of the pictures. I'm back there in my backyard with a couple of friends, my brother-in-law. They got a fire going.
It was a great setup, man.
We're smoking cigars. We're having drinks. I thought, you know what? The cool thing at the very end of it, because it never was as heated and hated. I mean, that was the wrestling part of it.
Yes.
That was the showmanship. And they're like, you did this and I did, whatever. High fives. I'm like, I loved it. I thought it was entertaining. It was better than the Pacquiao stuff.
Yes.
It was better than the Ricky Hatton thing. Way better than Ricky Hatton fight. Now, granted, those were years beforehand. Floyd did not push the way that he could have, but at 40, I mean, I don't know. You just want to win the fight, folks. He doesn't have to do anything special. He just wanted to win the fight, and he did it in a perfect boxing sense. So I hope that for all the UFC eyeballs that came over there, Dave, and they came by the millions to watch this, that the one thing I hope they take away is, isn't it great to watch a boxer, even at the age of 40, who comes out of retirement? The sweet science, Dave, is still a sweet science, and as much as, I'm saying that I'm cheering for Conor McGregor, you cannot take away from the ease and the brilliance of a guy who's one of the best boxers of all time. I had no problem paying for this fight.
Yeah, and that was the great part about it. We talk about watching, living legends, Jaromir Jagr in hockey and Albert Pujols in baseball, Floyd Mayweather in boxing. He may be, whether you like it or not, the greatest boxer in the history of the world. There would be some
pugilist fans who would agree with you, for sure. I mean, it's always debatable. You go over times, you start talking about Rocky Marciano. I mean, you're going way back, or Joe Louis. You just really... it's a hard thing because of weight divisions.
Sure.
Are we talking heavyweight? Are we talking all these other things? But the reality is, I think and I believe that for my money, I'd pay and watch it. For all you guys who are, you're suckers, you're losers, I wouldn't pay. The winner was pay-per-view. So what'd you watch then? So what did you do on Saturday night? No, look, you spent time with your wife. That makes you a loser. Yeah, you heard me. You talk to your kids, you do something nice for your kids, you read them a story, fuck you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're the losers.
Did you see what our friend Tony tweeted that night?
No. Not one of those.
Do you want me to tell you? Or?
Oh, is that when I sent a whole big picture of meat back to him?
Oh, no.
Oh, it was, yeah. He put something, he did something like that. So I put a barbecue filled full of grilled meat back to him. He's a vegan, by the way.
Yeah.
Luch, why do you send those things
Here
out?
it is.
I think you just want to. I think you just want that back.
Here it says. I will wait till morning to see when Mayweather won, and in what round. Couldn't pay me to watch this farce. # joke. # suckers paying to watch.
Yeah. Well, see.
That's yeah.
But what did you do then? Have a nice dinner of non-meat? Yeah. Loser. # sad. That's what that is.
What he was trying to say was, could I come over too?
Yeah. What it's saying is, you don't want to pay the $100 to watch the fight. That's what that says to me. By the way, he did save my life. Yeah, you always got to throw that in. Luke saved my life, so
he did.
Yeah, he did.
And then he got so mad when we talk about him.
Yeah, wow. So to me, Mayweather, I think he should retire. 50-0. What else you get to prove?
Nothing.
No, he said that's the last fight, and I really do, because I think in some ways that's the way you go out. You go with the big show, the big circus.
He's kind of like us. We retired in our 40s.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh. I wasn't aware of that. That's always sad when someone said, hey, you retired? No. But thank you. Appreciate that. If we're taking a look at this time of year, there's a bunch of things going on. I know Connor Brown here in Toronto talking about the 3-year contract. And for Connor Brown, the Scottish family, that's a lot of money.
You sound like his dad.
That's a lot of money. He played in the professional Scottish Hockey League, which killed me. When he said that, when he came on our show and he said, my dad tells about when he played the Scottish Hockey League. I said, okay, come on. I mean, the money alone to freeze that water is a lot, But Connor Brown, he scored 20 goals last year. So guess what? In the NHL, Dave, you get 20 goals, you're getting a paycheck.
Yeah, and
20 goals isn't nothing.
And you know what? He should have made a hell of a lot more than what he was.
So you think that contract could have been better?
Rip off.
Oh, yeah. So you think Lou might have squeezed him a little bit?
Lou sat there and went, "Hey, look over there. I'm changing the 4 to a 2." Okay, come on back.
Do you have a problem with that? No, we don't.
Seriously, you look, you know, and you make the comparisons around the NHL and so forth with comparable players. Zach Hyman and Connor Brown are not comparable players, but Zach Hyman makes more money than him. That is outrageously stupid. How are you not sitting there going, I'm twice the player he is. He actually played with Austin Matthews and was less productive, and now he's making more money than me? Oh, I would fire my agent if that's what happened.
I don't know who the agent is.
I don't know
either. So usually we do.
I don't think the agent wants to be seen right now, because if he did any sort of research, and you know we're research freaks.
I research 24 hours a day.
You're probably researching when I'm talking.
I just found out that petunias are actually part of the legume family.
There you go. You don't stop. But the thing is, it's like this agent did not do any research. I'm so disappointed for Connor Brown. I'm so excited for Leaf fans, because you want to fit as many players under that cap, because you're trying to figure out dollars and cents. And guess what? There's a couple more players coming down the pipeline soon. Well, William Nylander, and he's going to ask for a lot more money.
So you're reading this and you're saying, look, do you want to play on a winning team? Okay, here's the millions you're going to get, which is good money. If I guess you can't negotiate against another player, but the Leafs are saying, if we can squeeze a little bit out, we've got some money left over for Willie, because that's who we got to sign.
Well, that's a thing, and the other part of it too is, and you know what, during the contract of Connor Brown, there's going to be another contract that comes up, and it's Austin Matthews. And Austin Matthews will make $10 million plus. So in one of those last seasons for Connor Brown will be making 2.1, and Austin Matthews will be making $8 million plus more than Connor Brown. If you're, I don't understand this. I don't understand how this contract was actually signed, because I thought a Connor Brown, based on the NHL today, is at least $3.5 million, $3.75 minimum. And you sit there and you look at, you know, the Jake Gardner contract from like I'm not even friends with Connor Brown, and I'm disappointed.
Well, is it like it feels almost like when you offer someone a bridge contract.
It does.
That kind of money.
But it's like, man, I mean, good on the Leafs for the right management structure. But I mean,
and then Lou goes,
but I'm a player
now clean the chrome on my car. Hey, Connor, clean the car. You know, like, are we taking a look? It's funny. I was talking to some young guys who actually work for the Edmonton Oilers. And I've said this beforehand, and this is not breaking news. But if they keep the relative structure financially on both the teams in Edmonton and Toronto, is it conceivable that we see, I think it would be great, I don't know if the NHL is going to like it too much, a Toronto Maple Leaf Edmonton Oilers Stanley Cup final?
Yeah, I'd bet on that.
Like, I'm doing the math on it. I'm thinking,
I'm not saying this upcoming season, but
within the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I'd bet on that. Yeah.
That would be crazy in Canada.
Be outrageously fun.
But do you think the NHL, do you think that south of the border, that has appeal?
No.
I don't think it does.
No,
we think it does when we're up here in Canada. Hey, the Maple Leafs, very storied franchise. Hey, the Edmonton Oilers, some of the best players in the world, including having had some of the historically greatest players of all time. Mm-hmm. And it gets into June, guess what? South of the border, I just don't think it shows.
Crickets. And click.
Isn't it true that in the Nielsen ratings, the way it works, it's only in the United States?
Correct.
So therefore, even if they watch it, it's a 0?
That's one of the most, I should say, the number one reason why the Blue Jays in these last 2 years, even though they're a strong playoff team, they're stacked, maybe not this year, but the last 2 years, were never on Sunday Night Baseball, because the only ratings factor would be the American team that the Blue Jays face. So if they had like a nice Yankees Blue Jays game, you'd only be getting the market of the New York Yankees.
You're watching rawmikeRichards.com or listening on iTunes, perhaps it's Google Play or TuneIn. And by the way, with TuneIn, we're getting closer. Russell and I took a look at it, and we realized kind of some of the things that we have to do to make sure that happens. And I'm hoping by the time we make all our big announcements, which is that week of Labor Day, so that's the Tuesday on, we got a bunch of stuff going on.
You got it.
That then will fully be streaming live, so you can get it live. That's our intention. As the show gets bigger, this is what we need to do. So we just have to get that to happen. So hopefully the nerds over at Eggplant, you know who you are. Don't pretend you don't know. You know who you are.
Is there a lot of them there?
That we can get down. Well, more than they'd like to admit.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Taking a look just before we get to Chris Walby at the bottom. I'll say in about 7 minutes or so. In the NFL, the one thing that they always talk about when it comes to starters in the preseason, Dave, is they don't want to. Sometimes it's that balance between wanting to play guys and not wanting to play guys. But if you don't get enough reps in, you can't just start week number 1 when guys have only seen a smattering of time. For some of them, I think the quarterbacks and those that are veterans who don't need as many reps, I get that Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or some of these guys wouldn't play. Although I saw Russell Wilson seemed like he played like a full half the other night.
Yeah.
Like some guys are taking that time.
Week 3 is always that time.
Yeah.
The week 3 is a pretty good bettors week. Week 4 is a graveyard.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm playing for the LA Chargers on Thursday. So
Man, I'm betting on you, Dave.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Julian Edelman. So he gets in there, torn right ACL, Dave, and
Brutal.
Gone for the season.
Brutal. Massive loss for the Patriots. I mean, this has been a guy that's been a 100+ catcher for the last 4 or 5 years. So solid. The only thing that's good about this for the Patriots is outside of Gronk, Amendola, Hogan, Cooks, Mitchell, White, Tom Brady has nobody else to throw to. So
Yeah,
that's it.
But if you ask Tom Brady and say, by the way, are you going to miss Edelman?
Russell even got that joke.
Yeah. Well, no, I let people get it, Dave. I don't have to answer the show. I don't have to show it up, just so you know. But Edelman, of the guys you want to lose, that's not one of them.
No.
He's tied for 12th among all NFL receivers when it starts coming down to first down receptions. So the chunk of yardage you get when you start, thank him. He's now gone. If you're the Buffalo Bills, debatable on what kind of season you're going to have anyways, but for Tyrod Taylor, so he's going through that concussion, that NFL protocol.
Correct.
So unsure of really what his status is going to be, but the backup is Nathan Peterman, a 5th-round pick out of Pitt.
Peterman!
Yeah, but I don't think it's like, yes, hello, I'm Nathan Peterman. I don't think he's not. But if you're Buffalo, you've had enough pain already.
No.
It just continues.
You know what the awesome part is? Buffalo, New York Jets, week 1. The over-under is 14 points.
I was going to say,
take the under.
You know what?
Take the under.
It will be under 30 points.
It will be.
It will be under 30
points. It will
points.
be under. I bet you. I'll look it up while we're talking here. But
yeah, because they'll have the numbers out.
Yeah, because I'm guessing. Because this injury, it just happened, I'm guessing it's going to be 32.5 points is the total. So let's just keep on talking.
Okay.
And we'll figure this out.
Of those feeling some pain, well, you knew this was coming again. A lot of these aren't, as we know, Dave, they're not. It's not like I'm just breaking this news. I'm just talking about players of significance. Spencer Ware, any significance to the Kansas City Chiefs? I would say so. That is a big loss, and so he's got again another tear and all kinds of damage to his right knee. He is out, and you lose guys like that. I mean, these are the kinds of players. If you're in your fantasy leagues, your fantasy pools, your fantasy, if you had them, because you're counting on so many touches, so many yards, so many touchdowns. If you had him. Now you don't, and that's a huge loss.
Fantasy value, if anybody's still doing their pools, I did a couple last night. Kareem Hunt will be starting at the running back position for the Chiefs.
Oh, Mike's brother.
Yes. I'm not going to say Mike.
No, see, no, that's it. You say a joke, move on.
So what you're looking at is a Tyreek Hill, Kareem Hunt. Type of backfield. I know Hill's more of a receiver, but he has been used in different positions, and it's a very athletic type backfield where Alex Smith isn't going to be relied upon throwing any deep balls, which he should never. By the way, never. And we have an update for the over-under on the Jets-Buffalo. And I don't usually do this and present it like this, but it is the gift of the week.
Don't tell me it's like 37 or something.
It's 41.
Oh, they're out of their minds.
This is the gift of week one.
I'm going to make that bet right now. By the way, because of the Conor McGregor fight, all the football that's coming up, especially NCAA football, as you know, college ball, Conor, thanks to Conor, I have all my money now. I have all my money. I mean, there's a couple other picks that I made in there, obviously, but because of Conor, I now have money for first week of football. Thank you very much. Also, before we get to Chris Walby, Cameron Meredith from the Bears. Now, they're not officially or reporting, so teams want to probably drag a little bit, but he's got one of those on-air casts over it, and again, these are the kinds of injuries. He was the leading receiver in 2016. He was going to be one of their top targets.
Yes.
So if you're Chicago, you just can't really even afford a loss like that, and that's what you're dealing with. So,
this is one of the worst offenses in football. What will happen?
Yeah, they're limited to begin with.
Yeah, in a fantasy value, look for Kevin White to pick up a lot of those receptions that Meredith would have been in that number one flanker position. So Kevin White's your play if you're looking deep into your draft for secondary receivers, because don't count on this guy to be the 100-yard catcher game in and game out, because he does have Mike Glendon throwing to him right now. That isn't good. The feature of the offense is the running back position, and you want to jump on Jordan Howard because he will be a top 5, top 7 rusher in the NFL, and basically the only reason the Bears will move the ball on offense.
Just before we get to the legend Chris Walby. Now, this is courtesy of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. They put together this tremendous montage and look back at a tremendous career, and it goes all the way back to when he was like little. And as you know, for Chris Walby, there's not a lot of little in his lifetime deserved of being in the Hall of Fame. We're excited, and we talk to him next. But first, here's Chris Walby.
Chris had it all. He was tough, he was quick, he was certainly large, he was massively strong, and whether he was coming out blowing you up on the run or whether he was pass pro, you just couldn't win.
Christopher's the oldest. I was born in 1956. He was adorable. That was when he was a baby. He was an active toddler. He was absolutely normal. He was good in school. He was good at everything. And he was normal until he was 17 years old. He was my height, which is 5'8". And between 17 and 21, I think he grew 7 inches.
It was a standard family back then. I mean, obviously, born in '56 and growing up as a youngster, mom stayed at home, dad worked at Hydro, his whole life. 2 sisters, and when you're the only guy in a family, you can understand that can be a tough thing on a guy.
The girls gave him a hard time. I think it's the other way around, totally. He'd pick on me all the time, baby sister and all.
He was very, very good in everything he did, skating, hockey. But it wasn't until he hit football that he became really hardworking. And we knew he was going somewhere, even way back then.
Well, I always played defense. I was a defensive tackle. I'm a junior. I went to the States. I was a defensive tackle in Dickinson State. I had pretty good years down there. I was all-conference, made All-American. And when I came to Winnipeg, they looked at me and said, you know what? We think you have a better career.
I would like to speak to Chris Walby, please. Hello? There's Skype again, the magic of Skype. Hello? I'm going to try that again. This happened last week, too, okay? We'll just try this one more time, trying to get a hold of Hall of Famer Chris Walby. We are calling him. He is in, I believe, Manitoba as we speak, correct?
You got it.
Yeah. And we will try this again. Here comes the rings. Hello.
Hello.
Is this Chris
Hear me now?
Walby?
Yeah, how you doing, big guy?
It is. It's Mike Richards from rawmikeRichards.com. We're thrilled to have you here on the air with us this morning, Chris. And, we just watched a portion of the Canadian Football Hall of Fame, what they put together with your mom, talking about your family and when you were, as she put it, when you were normal. She kept using the word normal. But I got to tell you, the career you had certainly wasn't normal. It was above that. And I said, we're excited to have you on the program today in a time where I got to admit, if you're a Bomber fan, this is a pretty good time, is it not?
Oh, they're playing well, all cylinders. You know what? I tell you, you don't get excited, but I was so jacked when they were going to play Edmonton. I was so jacked last week against Montreal because Montreal, for some reason, plays, decent ball against us. And, 2 times they've had a chance to win this football game, but Bombers just find ways to win. They continue to just pull out turnovers at opportune times in the offense. And Matt Nichols, he is playing outstanding. He got, and you got, what's his name? Andrew Harris. Let's not say what's his name, but the guy is, like, in my mind, leading candidate for MOP the way this guy's playing. But, guys, my juices are flowing for the game coming up this week against the Bombers in Saskatchewan. That's the one I'm jacked about right now.
Well, I'm sure. I know you've got a lot of memories where it really got a little nasty on the sidelines at times, but that's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, and as you know, as a Canadian Football League fan, the best part happens after Labor Day. So we're coming up, the Banjo Bowl. You've got all the rivalries, including what happens, and I don't know, with Hamilton and Toronto. It's real tough out in the East. It's a little bit of a shame, but that doesn't take away from some of the football being played in the West. And I got to be honest right now, if I'm looking at the Bombers, are we putting them maybe number 2?
Well, they are number 2 right now. And you know what? The only game I think they really got their butts kicked to them was basically against Calgary is a machine right now. They're playing well. Bo Levi, and that defense, they just got them on all cylinders. I'm a big Dave Dickinson fan. I think he's got that team firing on all cylinders. But I really like the way the other teams are coming up, Winnipeg especially. And listen, even though our neighbors to the west of us here, they've outscored, 95 to something, 39 points the last 2 weeks. Chris Jones, after they wanted to get rid of him, he's got that team playing pretty decent football, which makes it an exciting, Banjo Bowl or Labor Day, whatever. No, it's Banjo Bowl. That's right. That's Banjo Bowl first, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, David Bast here. Great talking to you. I have to ask you about Saskatchewan itself. You brought up the point about Montreal, how the club doesn't, usually play well against the Alouettes. Well, Labor Day in Saskatchewan and Regina, that hasn't been very good to the Bombers as well. Are you a tad nervous considering that it looks like the Rough Riders have actually got their act together coming into this week?
You know what? I'm excited for it. I love good football. Yep. I really love competitive football. I don't like when you're going in. I'm really sad, guys, not to change the vein of thought here, but I really am sad about the situation going on in Hamilton. It's not good for the league. I mean, they're just, my God, the things that are going on over there. And, but yeah, when we're playing Saskatchewan, it's exciting, especially since, Saskatchewan two-game winning streak and beating profoundly BC and Edmonton. Guys, I'm not blown away by Edmonton. I think Edmonton's a lot of smoke and mirrors right now. I don't think they're that good right now because they've got so many dang injuries. But, I just think right now the teams that are on the rise, it's got to be Saskatchewan's got to be considered one of them. I mean, 4-4 right now. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be fun, and this is what you play for. This is what to cover the games. It's just, to me, it's totally exciting. I mean, it's 9:30 here in Winnipeg, and I'm jacked up, but I didn't have any coffee yet.
We're in conversation with Chris Walby here on rawmikeRichards.com, and you mentioned some of those names. Now, there have been some changes, and Ken Austin very well, what a competitor he is, and the kind of resume he's built for himself, which is a damn good one here in the Canadian Football League, and what he did south of the border. But putting in June Jones, were you surprised at the move?
Absolutely. I mean, there's something going on internally there. I don't know. A lot of times they use that term in hockey where you lose the team, and I think I don't know if he's lost the team because when you bring a guy in and all of a sudden he becomes an assistant head coach and then offensive coordinator, and they still had that other young gentleman calling plays. I thought that's really weird right now. Now June Jones runs. He likes to run and shoot. Are they going to run the football more? They don't have a bad running game, but they just seem to just want to live off the pass. When they're a one-dimensional team like that, I think they're not going to get, and everybody's on Zach Collaros. You know what? But guys, listen. They're dropping balls all over the field. I don't know. They're just not very good, and I'm wondering about the future of Ken Austin. I wonder if he's going to stay after. I know he's VP of operations. Is he going to stay after this? What about Eric Tillman? He's supposed to be the scout, bringing all these great players in. Boy, I tell you, they need something over there to spark that team, because it's a shame 0-8. We'll see what happens now after they come off the bye. But that whole Eastern Division, I mean, 10 wins total. Yeah. And you're looking at the West at 30. I mean, God bless Ottawa for winning one game. You know?
So
at least you got something going on over there. But you know what? It's crazy, man. I mean, it's like I watched the Montreal. We did the Montreal game. Montreal was playing really well. And Chapdelaine decides to go with a fake punt. He's trying to pull a page out of Mike O'Shea's book, but they're in their own end, and they were actually playing well. Yeah. You don't get it. We scored points off that turnover. It's just, I don't get it. I don't know if the Cards are just aligning right for the Bombers right now, but other teams should be making some silly mistakes at the end.
Yeah, they certainly are. So, Chris, if you kind of talk about the weakness of the Eastern Division, and there has been some talk through the media and social media as well that maybe it's time for the CFL to look at, breaking down this league as a league and not breaking down division by division, considering how much stronger the West is. Are you in favor of that? Are you in favor of that, considering the Saskatchewan Roughriders would be sitting in first place in the Eastern Division right now?
You know, it's a tough call. I know we've talked about this a number of times, guys. And the issue is, I guess I see it, is, you know, I love the concept. The concept sounds great. Top teams make the playoffs, as should be. Yep. But the other thing that bothers me or worries me is you've got these huge markets in Toronto and Hamilton and Montreal and Ottawa. And if they don't increase, or if they just sit and they become bottom dwellers for so long, you lose your fan base. It just becomes a lack of interest because they got no chance. And, like, I got to tell you, I was talking to Troy Westwood the other day on air, and I said, you know what, if I'm a guy watching from the States and I'm watching a telecast and I see a Hamilton team that's 0-8 and they're going, well, they still got a chance for the playoffs, you know what I'm thinking? What kind of freaking league is this? You know what I mean? So then when I hear that crap, I say, yeah, we need to change it to one. But then the other thing, the fear factor of the East not getting better and then just losing their fan base. And I know Toronto's already trying to do whatever they can to get people there. Yep. You need to have these markets play better, and maybe they got to spend some money, and maybe they got to pull in some talent there, because it's been too long when the East is just been cellar dwellers. But then again, you look at Ottawa last year, 8-9, they won the Grey Cup. So what do I know?
Well, and here's the thing, Chris. I think you bring up 2 points. Number one, from an athlete's perspective, from a competitor's perspective, the best should get in. That's how you played your whole life. That's why when you played, whether it was hockey or going and playing college ball, the best win. The best guys make the team. There's no favorites here. But as a Canadian, damn well, they're not showing up in Hamilton. They're certainly not showing up in Toronto if they think it's useless because Saskatchewan's going to have a better record than us. No one's moving on.
And that's a crummer. That's the issue we have right now. But again, that's almost like an excuse, because it should be the best teams that play. Yeah. So I mean, if I'm in the West and I end up like 6 wins and I can't get, I'm not in the playoffs. 7, I'm not in the playoffs, and everyone in the East is worse than I am. Well, there is an issue. Then we have to address something's got to address. I do like our commissioner. I think Ambrosi, he's done a great job of getting rid of that. 18 bloody challenges every game where, guys were challenging, somebody ate popcorn in the first row, throw the flag, interfere with it. It's just crazy. So now it's fast. Boom, boom. You got one challenge, you lose it, it's over. You win it, it's over. I loved it. But, no, to your point, guys, I'm torn about that. Should we have one division? But I just think the best team should be rewarded. And if the East starts to suck or continues to suck, then somebody in that organization has got to do whatever it can to get the talent there. Bring back pinball in Toronto.
There you go.
Whatever.
There you go. Exactly.
Well, and you bring up another thing, talking about Ambrosi, and it is maybe he's making good decisions because he's an offensive lineman, and all offensive linemen have always told me they're better looking, Chris. They're smarter people. They're better athletes. They're better everything.
Well, I'll say this: we're probably not better looking. I would say that. I'll give them that. But smarter? Oh my God, we're not even close, man. I tell you right now. all done. You know what? Matt Dunnigan, I like Matt Dunnigan, but he wrote his SAT test on Saturday. You know what I mean? It's just, no.
Hey, we're in conversation with 3-time Grey Cup champion, 9-time All-Star, 2-time most outstanding offensive lineman, and of course, Hall of Famer Chris Walby on the program. You talk about Matt Dunnigan. He was one of the quarterbacks that you played with. A lot of the Hall of Fame quarterbacks you played with. One of my favorites was Dieter Brock. I'm a Winnipegger, heart and heart, and still am. Also, Tom Clemens. Who was your favorite quarterback to work with when you were on that offensive line and in that huddle, and you knew that with this guy, we're doing something? Because, Chris, you played with a lot of great ones.
Well, you mentioned just 3 of them. I mean, you can throw Johnny Huffnagel in there. You can throw, Sean Salisbury in there. I was blessed. I mean, I came in the league in 1981 with Dieter Brock. Dieter Brock, the guy that, they say they can throw, a ball through the car wash without getting the ball wet. He was just an amazing quarterback. I mean, obviously playing here and then, going to Hamilton when we got Tom Clements, who I think is probably the most cerebral quarterback I ever played with. Different styles. Tommy would come in, he looked like a little accountant. He's not the biggest cat. He'd have his briefcase, and he just would come in there and he'd just run the offense. And if you told him to run something, I sometimes can be vocal in a huddle. I'll say, "Run the ball! Come on, for God's sakes!" And he'd be one of those guys that just turn to me and say, "Walby, shut the F up. We're just doing it. We're doing it." And then you got, Matt Dunnigan. Now Dunne. And everybody's made the fact that this guy, he's one of the toughest SOBs I ever played with, and I love him. And he's a winner. He's got pedigree all over him. I gave him the nickname Peacock because when he came in the locker room and he got his drawl going. He had a little drawl from Texas, and he started strutting around in the bow-legged legs he's got. I said, "We're gonna win. We're gonna win." When he's got that drawl going and his bow-legged gets even more bow-legged, I don't know if that's a good word. He's great, but I tell you what, when he comes in sometimes he's quiet. I'm like, "Oh, boy, somebody's wound tighter than a bad top right now. We got to get this guy loosed up." But this guy, 2 times he's with us. We go to the Grey Cup in both years. And there's no doubt in my mind, 93, he doesn't blow his ACL. We're winning the Grey Cup.
Exactly.
He's that good. He's a leader. He's fun to party with, and you got to party with you guys. I mean, we're letting – I should mention one guy, too. And he led us to the 1990 Grey Cup. He played Saskatchewan. And come on, man, he's never going to forget. Tommy Burgess.
There you go. Number 13.
Tommy Burgess. Yeah. He always started by his beers. He's like, "Oh, I'll take care of my O-line. I take care of my boys." And then he tries to go buy drinks with his room key. Send the fuck that cute bugger.
You also, Chris, I just want to ask you something too, because when I look at the game of football, which is my favorite sport, I love it. I've had a chance to coach it. It's just, I think it's a great game changer for young men. I think people think it's a cliche, but I think if you're around it enough, you understand that there's certain young kids that get into the sport. They go in with certain self-esteem issues. They go in with certain issues that as a teenager they have to struggle with stuff, and they come out as men. It's the one sport I can say it's not a cliche. It does happen. But the one thing that seems to be paramount in talking to guys like yourself and guys who have played, college football, that is south of the border, they explain it as having a stud quarterback. And it's exactly how you describe Matt, because there are times where I want the guy who comes in the huddle to have the best hair, to have the bow legs, to get the best girls, to party harder than everyone else, and also treat his offensive line better than anybody else. And that's why when I look at guys like Eli Manning, I'm thinking if you're on the offensive line, as much as he's almost created miracles, he doesn't technically and have by the book. He's not my stud quarterback.
No, and I agree with you. Listen, I remember when we signed Dunnigan, and God bless Matt coming to our team, and then all the guys had to line up in Cal Murphy's office to take pay cuts so we could pay that son of a gun. And so, that's the truth. We all took pay cuts to the biggest guy. And then, we had training camp in Brandon, Manitoba, and there's a little watering hole called the Keystone. And he pulled out a roll of water and roll of money, and he just goes, "Okay, boys, it's on me, and it's always going to be on me. Just let me know." Wow. He wanted to get in, because when he comes in there and you see these grumpy old bastards like us going, "Hey, what the hell is going on here, man? We're taking pay cuts so this guy can come over here to stud. He spends half his money on goddamn hair products. What are we going to do?" Plus, he's good looking, right? And he had abs. We used to have an O-line party here. Well, he shows up, and all the O-linemen are wearing, you know, the freaking big baggy shorts. He comes in a freaking Speedo with hearts on it. You know what? Then you have to kind of settle your wife down for like 18 weeks after. Like, hey, relax, honey, relax. All good.
Oh, hey, Chris, you bring up the name Cal Murphy, and he was nicknamed in Winnipeg Kindly Cal. But I got to tell you something from. I know I'm getting to it. Trust me, brother. When growing up in Winnipeg and seeing him, and then finally getting into the media, working for your buddy Joe Pascucci at CKND. Yeah. And I remember the two of you were very, very, very good together as well on TV. So Cal Murphy, and I look back at the start of my TV side of my career. Cal Murphy and Glenn Theyre of the Edmonton Oilers at the time were the two most intimidating guys to talk to, because it almost seemed that as a rookie broadcaster, if you asked these guys the wrong question, they would chew your head off. How was Cal to work with for so long, and you were there basically his entire time?
Yeah, you know what? Cal was a very interesting cat. It was a love-hate relationship. I loved the guy because he was a winner. He knew what he'd just come up and we'd lose a running back in practice. Go, don't worry about it. Or, you know, receivers and running backs, dime a dozen. We'll bring another one in. Don't worry about it. But yeah, when you're doing contract, he'd put his feet on a table. He'd look at you. He'd get a piece of little scribbly paper and write a number down and slide it across the table at you. And then he'd pretend he's taking a phone call. There's nobody even on the phone. He's probably talking to his wife Joyce in the other room. He's like, yeah, I got Walby here. Yeah, he's not the smartest cat. He'll fine. Yeah, he'll fine. So, you know, I take the paper and I put my own number down, and he starts laughing, puts his feet down, hangs the phone up, and then we're doing this Scrabble game, going back and forth with a scratchy piece of paper, you know, trying to agree on a contract, man. But no, I have to say that he was loyal. But he also, there were times that he did some things. Like I went and tried in the NFL in 1989. Yeah. And I came back, and he cut my pay for being disloyal. Oh, wow. That's just how the times have changed, right? He said, you know what, you're a bomber. You should be here. The fact that you're going down there and trying out is a sign of disloyalty. Therefore, you want to stay in the city. You go to Ottawa. You want to go to Ottawa? I go to Ottawa. I go to frickin' Ottawa. He goes, well, guess what? You're taking this. Yeah, $10,000. Wow. I was like, are you kidding me? But then you're talking about the other guy, and you're right. The two guys, Don Matthews. I think you mentioned Don.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Listen, when I was doing TV with Cuthbert and the Mark Colino's guys, we have to do the pregame interview or the day before. He was in Winnipeg, and this guy, I know how Don worked. When I first came in, he goes, Walls, you need anything, man? You give me a call, brother. You give me a call. All right. So then I go to talk to him, and he's in Winnipeg for the day before game. And he goes, Walby, right in front of everybody, I got to ask you a question. And I go, what's that? Are you drinking before the game? I go, what? So I go back and I go, well, I'm not going to frick. So I said, well, it sounds like you're drinking when you're making some of your calls. Wow. Now, Don Matthews, I respect Don. Listen, winning his call. Love the guy. But anyway, he got so angry because I guess nobody barks back at the Bulldog. Yeah. Anyway, next thing I know, I go to the next game and I can't remember what city we're in. He walks up to Mark Lee in front of me and goes, I'll talk to you, but not the guy standing to your left. Oh, yeah. He just blindfolded me for the locker room. Yeah, like it was just unbelievable, man.
Like you could be missed. And not that guy. You mean the guy who's blocking the sun? You mean that guy's?
You just said that guy. Yeah, that baby Huey looking guy over there.
Talking about something, the eclipse happened the other day. I said it's probably just Miles Grell and Chris Walby walking in front of the. You know, I mean, I look at that side of the. I mean, I look at the size, and by the way, it lists him. I said I had to look that up. It lists him as 6'8", which I probably don't discount, but it said 285.
Yeah, 285. Yeah.
It wasn't.
Listen, he had ball with 285 pounds. Listen, that guy was huge. He played offensive guard beside me, and we were tilting the field. I will say this, and I said this, and I've said it 100 times. The best offensive athlete I've ever seen, Miles Grell. That guy was a freak. He'd come in the weight room. He never wanted to work out, but he'd go grab 400 pounds, push it a couple times, go, well, I'm worked out. That's it. Who wants to go for wings? That was Miles. Who wants some beers? I was like, I love the guy. I mean, listen, this guy he was a stud. And how many guys at 6'8", and he was, he's 330. Let's just live with that number. He'd be on his hands walking stairs on his hands.
Oh, my God.
And I'm like, what are you doing, man? I mean, he just was one of these guys. But he used to drive me crazy because we'd be in the middle of a game and we're playing guys like Lloyd Lewis, who's a mental case in Ottawa, and this guy never takes a damn playoff. And there's Miles. So how you doing, Lloyd? How's the family? Yeah. Where you guys going after? You guys want to go for something to eat after? I'm like, hey, we're in a frickin' game, buddy. Stop with the socializing. I mean, he's passing on notes. Hey, see a picture of my daughter here? She's looking pretty good. Hey, what do you think? No, we're in the game, Miles. Put everything away. So he would drive me frickin' nuts, but god dang was he a good athlete. And strong.
Dave and I talk about that all the time, and that is, and I guess it depends on the era that you grew up in. I just turned 54, and even if I'm meeting Dave on the field or some buddies of mine, I'll be friends with you in the parking lot. But sometimes this loving that happens during the game and usually before the game and stuff, I just, for a lot of us, we weren't wired that way. I'll talk to your wife and talk about your kids in the parking lot, but I just can't do it before the game because you're my enemy during that time.
Oh, yeah, because you know what? It's like if you play, and I'll just use my position, you could have a great game and you run, say, 60 plays. You give up a sack, you're a piece of garbage. I remember we beat Ottawa something like, oh, God, it had to be 50-something or something. And I'm playing against Greg Marshall, one of the greatest defensive linemen ever, and I'm just kicking his bejeez. And then at the end of the game, they put Huffer in. We got the game by like 45 points, and Huffer's doing drop back. All of a sudden, I look around. Marshall put some kind of sick move on me. Whack. Get the sack. Whack. Get the hit on Upper. Then I look at the week and I go, and runner-up for the player of the week. Yep, that's right.
You're kidding me? Oh, my God.
Oh, man.
No, he goes, Wallace, how about that? I go, hey, yeah, just shows me all you have to do is 2 plays on frickin' defense and you're a star, you jackass.
Loving this conversation with Chris Walby, 3-time Grey Cup champion, 9-time All-Star. Some of the other coaches, one of my favorite coaches to talk with just, on a day-by-day basis was Dave Richie, but I guess one of the coaches that you coached, or that coached you, and had tremendous success after he left the CFL was Mike Riley. What was it like going from Cal Murphy to Mike Riley, considering Riley was like the boy genius, and he still continues to be a phenomenal head coach today?
Yeah, you know what? Cal Murphy's the kind of guy that you show up at a party and he doesn't know why you're there.
Yeah.
Where Mike Riley's like, hey, welcome. How you doing? Like Mike Riley was a defensive guru, not so much offense, but smart, and treated everybody. Really a player's coach. And actually, we went down last year. About 8 of the old players went down and took in a game in Nebraska and got to see Mike. He treated us like seriously, like we were just celebrities there, all around the campus. He took us out for dinner. And you're right. And what a facility. Listen, you know what? I went to a small, NAIA school in the States. And when you go to a big school and they're like, oh, it's not sold out today. We only got 90,000. Okay. I think the only thing that threw me off about going to Nebraska is they have these. We stayed in their hotel, and you get up in the morning, and for $20 you get 5 drinks of your choice, plus you can eat all the burritos what do you want, and then you start getting a little fire in your belly, and then you go to the stadium and it's dry. And I guess that's how it is.
Really?
If your stadium's on campus, it's all dry, right?
Wow.
So. Yeah, I was going through step 5 of AA, or working.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm so glad that Dave brought up Mike Riley because he's a really interesting human being. And look, he comes by the pedigree naturally. I mean, you take a look at his time in Alabama. I had a chance to talk to him when he was at Oregon State. Now, obviously in Nebraska, and briefly there in the NFL. And people always say that you can't win with a player's coach. And I think, well, it depends on how you define a player's coach. Yeah. Now, I think sometimes, look, I get the tough but fair, because as an athlete, I don't mind tough but fair. I just want fairness. I just don't want a Frank Cush guy coming in, finding me. I mean, you look at that team back that Frank Cush had. That was the Tommy Clements team, and that team was unbelievable. They lose to that Skip Walker Ottawa team in the Eastern Final. But I don't think you treat people that way and get the best results. I don't think you can roll over, but I think Mike Riley fits right in the middle. And if I was a professional athlete, I look at a Mike Riley because he's so cerebral. I want to play for a guy like that. That's my coach.
No, and you'd love him because he is that kind of guy. He'd come over and ask how you doing, what's going on, how you feeling. Are you beat up a little bit? Do you need some time off? Do you need to go on the ice stuff a little bit more? He was absolutely, as you say, an honest talker. Like Cal Murphy would go, hey, like you go to my buddy Mikolas. Hey, Stan Mikolas, how you like the new lockers? Stan would go, hey, they're great, coach. And then Cal would go, well, don't get used to them. And then Stan would go, what's he saying? What's he mean? Am I gone? So Stan would get dressed again and go back in the workout room. It was just crazy. The psycho, the way we played, the sarcasm. It was always, he was always like, you can't make the club in a tub. Or he'd walk in there and he'd see you guys in the ice tub. He'd go, oh boy, well, I better get on the phone and pick up some new guys. Just crazy crap he did. But he got results.
Yeah, he certainly did.
He's just one of those guys. But I agree with you. As far as a guy that I have so much respect for, and he's still the ultimate. Him and his wife, Dee, they're just nice people. They're almost too nice for the coaching profession, but they're just nice people.
One final question from me, Chris, and it's been a pleasure talking to you. This might be very Winnipeg-centric, but I have to ask you this one question because to this day it boggles my mind. Darrell Rodgers, the one-year coach from the NFL that came up here that thought he knew it all. Did he come across to you as a guy of this league that, man, this guy has no idea what he's doing? Because the fan in me at that time, I can't recall a time of period, considering the success the Bombers had leading into that year, of going, man, why did they bring this guy in?
Yeah. I'll tell you a quick story about Darrell Rodgers. He's an interesting cat. First off, he loved O-linemen. He absolutely adores O-linemen. We go to a first practice, and we're in their room, and everybody, what's going on here? There's Safeway shopping carts in our film room. We're like, what's going on? Well, every cart's got a name. And what happens is if you pancake a guy, run him over, not trip, you knock him over a pile, you pancake a guy, he buys you a case of beer.
Wow.
Well, God dang it, we didn't get excited. You're coming out again. You're hungry. And then it becomes, guys, that guy, no, you got tripped. It's not good. No, it's not good. But I'll tell you, we were watching film. The first week we were there in training camp, and he's watching film with his defense coordinator he brought in. I don't know who that guy was. And anyway, he goes, hey, roll that film back. Roll the film back. Son of a gun. They're moving before the snap of the ball.
No.
Oh my God. James West goes, are you kidding me? This guy doesn't understand that you can waggle up here. Oh, Lord, we're in trouble.
No.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah, how true is that? Because you almost sensed it as a guy that obviously wasn't near at the level of your intelligence of the game. And I'd sit there and go, oh, good God, why?
Well, you know what? Before I let you go, Chris, and we talked a little bit about what the Bombers are doing, and we mentioned Osh, as they like to call him, but Michael OShea, who's always been one of my favorites. Even coming out of CIS football, he was one of my favorites. There's everything to like about this guy, and I said to him, back even when you played in college, I said, with your teeth out, he goes, you had that Lambert kind of, you look like a linebacker, and he goes, you mean I'm ugly? You're saying I'm ugly. I said, well, you take a look at how you want to look at Osh, but I'm just saying you look like he has done a magnificent job where there are a lot of franchises, quite honestly, where you got to do something for me now or yesterday. The Blue Bombers have hung in with him, and I think the results are showing. I'm really happy for the guy because I think he's a great human being too.
Yeah, listen, the combination, him and Kyle Walters have done just a phenomenal job of bringing talent in here. I think we have a receiving crew that's second to none. I think our offensive line might be the premier O-line in the league right now. But OShea is a player's coach, and he does a great job of shielding his players. He's, some people don't like the fact he kind of gives vanilla answers a lot of the times, but you know what? He's just a guy that the players, I mean, seriously, I'm not kidding. They love this guy. They'll go through a wall for this guy. He lets them have fun. And I think he understands it. This game has changed so much from when we played because, obviously there's more concern about CTEs and concussions and stuff like that. Now you have one full day of practice a week, which I thought was crazy. But you know what? It seems to be working, and the players are supposedly healthier, but it seems like there's a lot still going down. But I just like Michael OShea, the way he handles his team. I like the way he coaches. He's just a very, very intelligent man as far as we all know what he can do in special teams. I remember playing against the guy, and the guy would come up, and we'd be lining up on in what we call tough position over the O-line, and he'd be calling our goddamn offensive plays before we're even running them.
Man.
So we're like, God dang it, man.
Yeah.
But just tough as nails, great guy. And I tell you what, Winnipeg, I'm happy to have him here. I mean, they're 7-2 now. It took them a while to get where they were. It's the third year, but he's the real deal.
Chris, thanks so much for joining us today, man. I mean, we've had a lot of people. We've only been on the air for 4 months, and this is kind of a new project when you do stuff like this and whenever there's a .com behind it, even though for the years that I've spent in major broadcast, if you want to put it that way, this is a real experiment, and it's gone very, very well for us. But I got to tell you, this last half hour, and I think I probably speak for Dave too, it's been one of my favorites. This has just been fantastic.
Listen, guys, I really appreciate you guys calling. I love talking to you guys, and so say anytime, man. You got the number. Give me a dingle, man. We'll have fun.
That's fantastic. Hey,
Thanks a lot, Chris.
You take care. We'll talk to you again soon, Chris.
All right, guys. Have a great day.
That is the one and only Hall of Fame and legendary Chris Walby with as many stories about football in general that you're ever going to want to hear. I hope you go to the website today. We'll have this also as a separate entity if you want, and download this thing and view it because that was great. Before I let you go, we've got a bunch of things also coming up that we'll get to, including our guest tomorrow, which is a fantastic story. We're going to be busy for the whole week, to be honest with you. And also we got a bunch of huge announcements that are going to be, I keep saying huge announcements are coming. Well, that first week of Labor Day, they're actually coming. Yeah. But, it can't be a Raw Mike Richards show without showing something that's uncomfortable and upsetting. A lot of times it's fan fights. What about crazy old bag on airplane being arrested by the police? If you listen to what she's saying, this crazy old bag is fantastic in the world of Crazy Town.
My 20 feet that I'm entitled to as a permit. Get out of my face. 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 You give me 20 foot. My constitutional right is I work with inmates. I give them 20 feet. You give me 20 feet. Give me 20 feet.
You mean 20 feet?
Give me 20 feet.
Look, see what she's taking off the plane? Cat.
Come on.
There's a cat right there. There's a cat in the plane.
I don't want you to bring anything. I want you to stay out of my
your hands on me.
You are forcing me because I cannot walk. I had a stroke. I did not put my hands on you. Are you 20 feet from me? Are you 20 feet from me?
No, I'm not.
I had a stroke. Take your hands off me. Then you handcuff me. You take your hands off me. Take your hands off me. I am 23 years old.
What?
Take your hands off of me.
What?
I didn't hit you. I had a stroke. You take your hands off of me right now. I am peeing myself. You take your hands off of me.
What a crazy old bag. And did you catch that? I am 23 years of age. Then you're a horrific looking woman. I don't know what's gone on in your world that has caused you to look that way, but you don't look 23, you old cow.
Yeah, 27, 28.
Well, then again, if you've ever been to Edmonton.
What?
She just might be 23.
Become best friends? Yep. You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep.
Yes.
It's time!
I'd like to thank Chris Walby, who joined us. That was such a fun half hour that he was on. If we ever get him or go out there, hey, there's a chance we go to Winnipeg as well. Maybe do another casino event. How about that? If you're watching, get us in there. We will go. Coming up tomorrow on the program, Kevin Porter. Now, is he going to be in studio?
He's going to be in studio.
Oh.
Let's get ready to rumble!
What a great story this is. Just briefly tell the story, Dave. This is fantastic.
42 years old, trying to make the pros once again, trying to land some sort of professional hockey contract. We'll talk about that and much more tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe even the Olympics?
That'd be cool.
Who knows? Join us tomorrow. Thanks for today. Thank you, Connor.